Imagine waking up in pitch darkness. No, not because it's night, but because the light on your smart alarm clock isn't on. The phone you used to fumble for on the nightstand before you even open your eyes is just a piece of cold glass and plastic. The screen is black. You press the power button. Silence. You think, the battery's dead. You get up to turn on the bathroom light, but the flick of the switch makes no difference. The darkness remains. At this point, you're still calm. You think, well, the fuse is blue. Or, there's a power outage, they'll fix it soon. You go to the kitchen to get some water and drink, turn on the tap, and instead of a springy stream, you hear only the hiss of escaping air and the plaintive gurgle of the last drops. The pumps that supply water to your floor are electric. No current, no pressure, no water. You feel uneasy. You go to the window, hoping to see the lights of the night city, the headlights, the neighbours' lit windows. But beyond the glass lies a black hole. The city that never slept is dead. The traffic lights are out. The street lights are out. The skyscrapers, which yesterday sparkled like Christmas trees, stand as dark monoliths, like tombstones. And the most terrifying thing is the silence. There is no hum of ventilation, no traffic noise, no familiar background electrical hum that we don't even notice until it disappears. This isn't a localized power outage. It's not a burned-out transformer in your yard. It's a digital blackout. The system's algorithms are set to hide such videos, so subscribe and like right now. It's the only way to ensure the next warning reaches you before disaster strikes. Leave a comment if you're ready to learn what others aren't telling you. We've become accustomed to thinking of the internet as simply a means of communication. Pictures on social media, emails, cat videos. We've forgotten that over the past 20 years, we've voluntarily, with much ado, migrated the circulatory system of our civilization to digital. We've built a world that hangs by a thread of fibre optic cable. And someone, whether hackers, a solar flare, or an enemy sabotage group, has just cut that thread. You still don't understand the scale of the disaster. You try to call your family, but there's no reception. The cell towers, deprived of power and communication with the control centre, have gone silent. You try to buy water at the convenience store near your home, but the electronic doors are locked. And if you're lucky enough to find an open store, the cashier simply shrugs. The registers aren't working, the terminals aren't accepting cards, and the scanners aren't reading barcodes. The first hour brings the most terrifying mental realization. You're helpless. You're standing in the middle of your gadget-filled apartment, realizing that all of these things, the 200,000 ruble laptop, the smart speaker, the plasma TV, the robot vacuum, have turned into expensive junk. You can't get the news. You can't call a taxi. You can't transfer money. You can't even flush the toilet. A modern metropolis is a complex organism living on a respirator. This respirator is a digital infrastructure. Food logistics are managed by algorithms. Power supplies are balanced by neural networks. Bank transactions are simply packets of data. Remove digital information, and the city instantly, in seconds, reverts to the Middle Ages. Only in the Middle Ages did people have wells, ovens, and grain reserves. You have only a dying power bank and half a pack of dumplings in a defrosting refrigerator. The first 60 minutes are a phase of denial. People go out onto their balconies, shine flashlights, joke, and shout at their neighbours. The utility workers have done something wrong again. They still believe there are some grown-ups out there who will fix everything. That somewhere out there, in big offices, sit smart people who have already pressed the right buttons. But the truth is, there are no more adults. The control system has lost its eyes and ears. Power grid dispatchers are blind. They can't see where the break occurred because the telemetry sensors are silent. The police can't coordinate crews because digital radio communications are down. Ambulances aren't receiving calls. The city is descending into chaos, and this chaos is uncontrollable. This isn't a disaster movie where the hero saves the world in 2 hours. This is a reality in which we've become hostages of our own comfort. We've outsourced our safety to algorithms. And now that the algorithms have shut down, we're left alone with a physical world for which we're completely, totally unprepared. In an hour, the jokes on the balconies will die down, anxiety will begin to grow, the cold will begin to creep into apartments, and on the streets, the first signs will appear that humanity's veneer of civility is shedding much faster than we thought. Welcome to the first 48 hours of a new era, an era of silence. The second part of the story is the anatomy of collapse. If the first hour was a shock, the next 12 hours are the beginning of the agony. You must understand, a blackout isn't just the lights went out, it's the stopping of the heart of the global economy. The modern world has no safety margin. We've sacrificed reliability for efficiency. We've created a just-in-time system where stores don't stock a month's worth of food. They stock only 2 days' worth because storage is expensive, where pharmacies receive insulin every morning because an algorithm has calculated the district's need down to the last ampule. And now this algorithm has died. Imagine the circulatory system. Trucks are red blood cells carrying oxygen, food, fuel, medicine to cells, cities. Drivers used to know the way using a map. Today, drivers are an appendage to a GPS navigator and a digital waybill. As soon as the network goes down, drivers go blind. They don't know where to go. Warehouses can't ship goods because the gates are opened with a digital key, and the waybill database is stored in an inaccessible cloud. Supply chains are breaking down instantly and everywhere at once. You're heading to the supermarket, it's already crowded. People instinctively sense trouble. They're buying everything. Water, canned goods, cereal, batteries. But the registers aren't working. Cash only. And who has cash these days? Very few. Conflicts break out. "I'll transfer it to your card later," shouts a man in an expensive suit. The security guard laughs in his face. In a world without the internet, the promise of a transfer is worth less than a candy wrapper. 4 hours later, the shelves are empty. There will be no new deliveries. Trucks carrying bread are stuck at the exits of bakeries because the logistics system hasn't issued route sheets. Refrigerated trucks carrying meat and milk are starting to warm up on the highways. Their refrigeration units also require control and fuel, and gas stations can't dispense gasoline without a connection to the processing centre. The city begins to devour itself. But the worst things aren't happening in stores, they're happening in hospitals. A modern clinic is a digital factory. Patient records are electronic. Drug dosages are calculated by a computer. Ventilators, dialysis machines, and monitoring machines all require electricity and a network. As soon as backup generators kick in, the countdown begins. They only have enough fuel for 24 hours at most. And there won't be any deliveries. Surgeons operate by the light of smartphone flashlights until their batteries run out. Doctors rush from floor to floor trying to remember which patients are allergic to penicillin because the database is unavailable. People whose lives depend on high technology are the first to die, quietly, without screams. The beeping of the machines simply gives way to a steady line, and then the line itself goes dead. What happens to the water? A water utility isn't just a pipe. It's a complex system of pumps and filters, controlled by SCADA systems over the internet. Without commands from the central control center, the pumps stop. The pressure drops. A vacuum forms in the pipes, which can suck in groundwater and sewage. The faucets that still have water flowing begin to leak poison. You can't drink it. There's nothing to boil water on. The electric stoves are dead, and the gas is shut off by the automatic safety system. By the evening of the first day, darkness descends upon the city. A true primordial darkness, one we, children of electricity, have long forgotten. And in this darkness, predators awaken. Alarms in stores, banks and apartments are disabled. CCTV cameras are blind. The police are paralyzed. Crime's golden hour has arrived. Looters are unafraid because they know no one will come. No one will record their faces. Law has vanished along with the Wi-Fi signal. You're sitting in your apartment, barricaded against the door with a chair. You hear the sound of breaking glass outside, screams. You realize that your fortress of drywall and double-glazed windows is an illusion. You're freezing because the power plants are down. You're hungry, but there's only yogurt and a piece of cheese in the fridge. And you realize with horror, all your civilization, all your human rights, all your humanistic morality were held together by a thin layer of electricity. The system we spent centuries building has turned out to be a colossus with feet of clay, and those feet were undermined not by a nuclear strike, but by a simple lack of ones and zeros in the cable. We optimized this world for profit, not survival, and now the world is presenting us with a bill for this optimization. A bill that will have to be paid not in money but in fear, cold, and blood. 12 hours are behind you. Ahead lies the longest night of your life, and a morning that will bring not light, but the realization that there's no help to be had. The dawn of the second day brings no relief. Quite the contrary. In the sunlight, the scale of the catastrophe becomes visible in all its ugly nakedness. The city resembles a gigantic abandoned ship. Thousands of cars are parked on the streets, those who have run out of gas or whose electric cars have run out of batteries. They simply abandoned their useless capsules of comfort in the middle of the road and walked. Where to? No one knows. Simply away from the stone slabs that have turned into freezers overnight. The stage of realization comes. This is for a long time. And it's at this moment that the thin veneer of civilization peels away. Sociologists say there are only 3 missed meals between order and anarchy. Now 2 have already been missed. People are hungry, people are scared, people are angry. Look around your yard. Yesterday you greeted these people. You held the elevator door open for the neighbour on the 8th floor. You smiled at the young mother with the stroller. Today you look at them differently. You value their resources. The neighbour has a dog, which means he has food. The mother with the stroller has warm clothes, and that guy over there loading gas cans into the trunk has water. A switch flips in your brain. The ancient reptilian brain switches on. The instinct for self-preservation suppresses empathy. Us versus them. Only now they aren't abstract bankers or bureaucrats. They are anyone who can lay claim to your last piece of bread. Local wars over resources begin. At first, they're just squabbles in lines at the only working water pump. Then there are fights, then knives. A crowd storms a closed supermarket. Glass display cases shatter. People grab whatever they can, trample the fallen, snatch food from the elderly. There's no solidarity. It's every man for himself. This isn't a movie where heroes unite in the face of adversity. In reality, adversity divides. Fear turns people into a pack of rats in a barrel. An information vacuum amplifies panic 100-fold. Rumours spread faster than a virus. The authorities have abandoned the city. The military has cordoned off the area and isn't letting anyone out. The water is poisoned. An epidemic is starting. No one knows the truth because there is no truth anymore. There is only fear, whispering the worst-case scenarios in your ear. You see a group of teenagers breaking into a car in the yard. Not to steal it, there's nowhere to go. They're looking for food, chargers, warm jackets. Do you want to shout to stop them? No. You step away from the window and draw the curtains. You're afraid to attract attention. Your apartment is your last fortress, and you won't let anyone in, even if they beg. And what is the state doing? The state is paralyzed. Without communication, the vertical power structure is falling apart. The governor can't get orders from the centre. The mayor can't give orders to the police. The military sits in barracks, guarding its warehouses because without orders, it has no right to act. The governance system built on digital control has proven blind and deaf. Officials, accustomed to managing via Zoom and electronic document management, are paralysed. They don't know how to manage chaos manually. They're waiting for the internet to come, but it won't come. By the middle of the second day, the city begins to stink. The sewer system isn't working. The trash isn't being collected. The bodies that have appeared overnight from heart attacks, crime, accidents aren't being collected. The smell of decomposition mingles with the smell of burning. Fires have started somewhere because people are trying to keep warm with fires right in their apartments or yards. The firefighters aren't coming. There's no water in the hydrants. The fires are spreading from house to house. You see columns of black smoke on the horizon and realise these are the funeral pyres of your past life. You look at your smartphone. Its battery is completely dead. A black screen. A symbol of your helplessness. It used to give you everything. Knowledge, communication, entertainment, money. Now it's only good for cracking nuts. You feel phantom pains. Your finger instinctively reaches out to check your newsfeed. But there's no news. History has stopped. Or rather, it's gone backwards. We've regressed to feudalism in 36 hours. The strong take from the weak. He who has weapons and food is a baron. He who doesn't is a serf or a corpse. Money is worthless. Gold watches are exchanged for a can of stew. Mercedes keys lie in the dirt. All social statuses have been reset. It doesn't matter who you were yesterday, a bank director or a courier. Only one thing matters. Can you protect your family and get water? You're sitting in a dark kitchen. Your children are crying from hunger and cold. You tell them, everything will be fine, the lights will come on soon, but you're lying. You know that even if the lights come on tomorrow, the world of yesterday will never return. You've seen the true face of your neighbours. You've seen the fragility of everything you thought was unshakable. Trust has been shattered. And the economy and society are built only on trust. The second night will be more terrifying than the first, because now you know there will be no help. You're alone in a concrete jungle teeming with predators, and the only law that applies here is kill or be killed. The third day begins not with the sun but with a smell. It's the sweet, heavy scent of defrosted meat that now hangs over the entire city. The giant logistics warehouses, supermarkets, and your own refrigerators have finally given up. Tons of food have turned into a biological bomb. But this smell is just the background. The main change has occurred in our minds. By the morning of the third day, when 99% of the population's phones had run out of battery, something strange happened. The information noise we'd lived in for decades vanished. No news, no notifications, no likes. In this ringing silence, people suddenly saw reality. And it turned out to be more terrifying than any post-apocalyptic movie, because movies have a plot and an ending, while here there was only an endless now and an empty stomach. You step outside. The city has changed. It no longer belongs to hipsters on scooters and clerks with coffee. It belongs to those who know how to extract resources. You see a group of men opening a manhole cover to access a water well. You see a woman exchanging a gold ring for a pack of dry pasta. The exchange rate is set by life itself, and gold is rapidly depreciating. At this moment, somewhere far away in bunkers and backup data centers, system administrators and military engineers perform a miracle. They initiate a cold restart. They restore the trunk lines, power the communication towers from diesel generators, and restore routing. And so, at exactly 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this happens. First one screen lights up, then another. The terminal beeps. The pocket of the lucky one who saved the battery vibrates. The network has appeared. People are crying. They're hugging the power poles. They're shouting, "Hooray!" They think the nightmare is over. That delivery will arrive soon. The subway will start working again, and they'll be able to order pizza and watch TV again. What naivety! Flipping the switch doesn't fix society. The electricity is back, but trust isn't. You saw your third-floor neighbour try to break down the door to the grocery store with a crowbar yesterday. You saw an intelligent music teacher fight over a bottle of water. You yourself, yes, you yourself were ready to hit someone yesterday to protect your food. Do you think that now that the power is back on, you'll be good neighbours again? Will you smile at each other in the elevator? No. You'll avert your eyes. Because you've seen each other without masks, and that knowledge will stay with you forever. Moreover, the digital world that has returned is no longer the same one you lost 3 days ago. It is in ruins. Data is corrupted. Bank transactions from the last 48 hours are lost or duplicated. Logistics is in tatters. Thousands of trucks are parked in the wrong places. Goods are damaged. Contracts are broken. The economy has suffered a blow from which it will take years to recover. But the most important change is fear. You used to believe in the immutability of the system. You knew that if you pressed a button, the light would come on. Now you know that's no guarantee. It's a miracle that could disappear at any second. And this fear will change everything. People will start leaving cities en masse. A deurbanization of fear will begin. Prices for country houses with stove heating and their own wells will skyrocket. A 40th floor apartment in the centre of the city will become not a symbol of success, but a symbol of a death trap. Who wants to live in a concrete cage where without electricity you're dead? Business will change. Companies will begin duplicating digital processes with analog ones. Paper archives will come back into fashion. Cash will become king because everyone has learned. When the terminal goes dark, a plastic card is just a piece of plastic. You'll return to your office if it still exists. You'll turn on your computer. You'll start answering emails again. But now, in the bottom drawer of your desk, you'll find a flashlight, a knife, and a pack of crackers. And every time the light flickers, even for a second, your heart will skip a beat. We survived the rehearsal. Cyber Armageddon showed us that we are emperors with no clothes, that our civilization is a thin film on the surface of chaos. And now that we know the truth, we will never sleep soundly again. The question isn't if it will happen again. The question is when it will happen again, forever. And will you be prepared next time not just to wait for the light to come on, but to live in the dark? Tick, tock, time has started again, but now you've been warned.